You're watching NBC5 Today at 6.
It is 6 o'clock on a very solemn Friday morning in North Texas. In this hour, we continue to follow the breaking news happening this morning in Dallas.
Yeah, let's give you a live look right now from downtown Dallas. And you can see behind us the Omni turned completely blue. And now a very quiet scene, very different than what we saw 9 hours ago when shots did ring out. Just a much calmer scene. It was late last night that shots rang out after that peaceful rally. 4 Dallas police officers killed, 1 Dart police officer killed. Now we want to show you some video. This is the chaos that erupted shortly after those shots were fired.
Again, that was about 9 o'clock last night, coming at the end of a peaceful vigil on police officers targeted in this attack. Here is what we know this morning. 11 police officers were shot last night. 5 of those 11 are now dead. 1 civilian was also shot. It is believed that snipers shooting from perched on top of garages took aim at police officers at the end of this peaceful vigil.
Now we've got team coverage of this attack on Dallas police. Our crews have every angle of the story covered from the scene and from the hospitals. NBC5's Katie Blakey is live at Dallas Police headquarters. Katie, what's the latest from where you are?
Well, Mark, the city is starting to wake up, if it even went to bed last night, but we are seeing more traffic in this area, more people going for their morning run, their morning jog, and I think the gravity of what has happened here in Dallas is really setting in for a lot of people. Here at DPD headquarters, we have watched a number of officers walk in and out of these doors, not saying anything to us, just going about their day and going to work. Overnight, every light in this building in headquarters remained on. Officers there are working. As we've said, 5 officers killed. So their loved ones, their brothers are killed, and they are dealing with that as they go about to work. Also overnight, we watched a number of people come here to headquarters. They lit candles, they laid down flowers, and they said prayers. They said they wanted people to know that they are here. They wanted Dallas police to know they are here and they support them. We spoke to one woman, a mother of a Dallas police officer. She said she could not go to sleep, that she needed to do something, so she came here to light candles. Take a listen.
I could not believe that this happened right here. And the sad thing is, our police didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. There was a peaceful march, and then this happened. My heart is very heavy. It's very, very heavy.
I think Cheryl Jackson speaks for all of us this morning when we think about what has occurred over the last 8 hours. And as you said, it was a peaceful protest. We've seen a number of protests here in Dallas over the last few years. Many of them have remained peaceful because of the work of Dallas police officers. We even saw Dallas police last night tweeting out images, them alongside the protesters, tweeting out signs showing that the event was going well. And then those shots rang out just as that protest was winding down. Of course, we are waiting to get more information from authorities. We believe another press conference and update will happen at 7:30, but we are still working right now at headquarters to get more information for you. Back to you, Mark and Deborah.
All right, Katie Blakey, thank you. Now we want to talk about the officers killed last night. This is a picture of one of the officers who was shot to death. This is Dart police officer Brent Thompson. He's a 43-year-old veteran of the Dart force, the first Dart officer killed in the line of duty in the department's 27-year history. He had been a member of the Dart police force for 7 years. Again, that Brett Thompson dead at the age of 43. We do know the names of the other 3 Dart officers who were shot last night. Officer Jesus Ratana is a 10-year veteran of the department. Officer Omar Cannon has worked for the Dart force for 7 years, and Officer Misty McBride joined the Dart force 6 years ago. NBC5's Julie Fine was at the hospital last night when Officer McBride's father showed up. Here is what he told Julie.
Well, we knew she was fine by then. So it's just, a lot of pain. She's in a lot of pain, and just relieved that, she's fine. They told us, exactly what happened and everything, and that she was going to be fine. She's already talking about going back to work tomorrow.
And that is the case with all 3 of the Dart officers who were injured. Dart saying that all of those 3 officers will recover, but again, they are grieving because one of their officers died in that shootout. Yeah, so that's the coverage there on that Dart officer. We want to shift gears now and get to NBC5's Ben Russell.
Yeah, Ben's been out all morning at the scene and talking to officers and getting us more information. Ben, what's the latest right now?
I can tell you, Mark, it's a far different situation from what we'd seen earlier. We're standing in the middle of Elm Street in downtown Dallas. At any other day, at any other time, this would not be advisable. You could not just walk down Elm, but obviously this is not just any day. We are about 1 block away from where, for hours overnight, Dallas police had their eyes and their guns trained on a parking garage behind the El Centro campus right here in Elm Street. And obviously, like I say, this situation right now, just after 6 o'clock in the morning, far different from this very spot where we're standing now. Some 9 hours ago, around 9 o'clock last night, is where we were and where hundreds of protesters were marching, chanting peacefully, reportedly, when all of a sudden chaos erupted here on the streets of downtown Dallas. Our NBC5 photographers were here along for this situation. We were up close and personal with Dallas police who, while many others ran away from the scene, they rushed right into the oncoming gunfire that we understand by all sources was solely directed at Dallas police officers. Obviously, we now know the results of what has happened to some of those men and women who serve our city here. Obviously, there is work to be done this morning. It's not just police sitting here on Elm. There is a crime scene investigation to be done. Much of downtown Dallas is a massive crime scene. There will be much work to be done today and into the future to answer so many of these questions. Chief among them, who exactly did this and why? Live in Dallas, Ben Russell, NBC5.
All right, Ben Russell, just one of our many reporters there on scene covering this tragedy. Ben, thank you.
All right, the scene of the crime, not the only thing we've been paying attention to. There's been a large police presence at the hospitals as well, at Baylor Hospital all night long.
Yeah, Baylor Hospital located downtown just a few blocks from where this violence unfolded. NBC5's Courtney Gilmore is live there at Baylor this morning to get us updated from the situation there. Courtney?
Well, Deborah and Mark, for hours, Baylor Medical Center was taped off, blocked off by crime scene tape. There were several police cars inside of the driveway there, and this was the scene not only of where several officers were taken after that shooting, but also a place where officers were gathering as well, trying to gather support from one another. Take a look at some of this video. This was a very gripping and touching scene when 2 bodies were taken out of the hospital. We know that 5 officers passed away last night after that shooting, and 2 of those officers were taken here and died here at this hospital. You can see those officers, their fellow officers, lined up around the entrance of the emergency room there, and also medical personnel. They were saluting just out of respect and honor that they had for their those fallen officers. A very solemn last 9 hours as officers continue to try to wrestle with all of the events surrounding this shooting. Well, back out here live, we saw a long procession leaving Baylor Medical Center here downtown. We also saw 3 patrol cars being towed away from the medical center, and one of the patrol cars had bullet holes inside of the windshield there, and we are told that all 3 of those cars will be processed later on, but still a lot of unanswered questions surrounding this incident. But right now, those are the very latest details. 5 officers shot and killed after this shooting and this protest downtown. Deborah and Mark?
Yeah, and no doubt, Courtney, inside that very hospital, the work continues to care for the injured officers. Courtney, thank you. Now, along with Baylor University Medical Center, several of the injured were also taken to nearby Parkland Hospital overnight.
NBC5's Scott Gordon has been there for more than 8 hours now covering the situation. We want to get out to him. Scott?
Well, Mark, I can tell you it's almost eerily quiet here outside Parkland Hospital right now. I count only 2 Dallas police cars in the parking lot outside the emergency room, and that's in stark contrast to the very active scene that we saw here in the early morning hours. Let me get right to some video that we shot about 3 o'clock this morning, a very moving scene as several police officers, several fallen police officers were removed from the hospital and put into vans from the medical examiner's office. We could see what's called an honor line of police officers saluting once, twice, 3 times as those bodies were brought out of the hospital. They were then escorted across the street to UT Southwestern Medical Center, where the Dallas County Medical Examiner's office is located. Earlier, before that, we saw a few police cars come screeching up here with sirens blaring, carrying the family members, apparently, of some of the officers that were taken here earlier. We saw a mother get out, apparently with her young daughter. We also saw a woman get out of another patrol car, obviously in a hurry to get inside the hospital. Now, I've got to tell you that we've had no firm numbers here from hospital PR staff or from the police department about how many of those officers who were shot last night were brought, how many of them were brought here, how many of them were being treated here, how many of them were brought to nearby Baylor University Medical Center or perhaps other hospitals as well. So at this point, I can't tell you how many of the injured officers may remain here at Parkland Hospital right now, still being treated, but we're trying to get those numbers as we speak. Back to you guys, Mark and Deborah.
Yeah, certainly a long and difficult night there. Scott, thank you very much. Well, Governor Greg Abbott released a statement last night. He said, quote, "In times like this, we must remember and emphasize the importance of uniting as Americans." And we also heard from Senator Ted Cruz. He tweeted, "Men and women of law enforcement selflessly run into harm's way to save the lives of others. May God protect them and bring peace upon Dallas." And this morning, Congressman Pete Sessions has been keeping a very close eye on what's going on in Dallas.
Congressman Sessions joins us now by phone from D.C., where you are back in session. First of all, Congressman Sessions, thank you so much for being up early with us. We do appreciate it.
Yes, good morning. It was a terrible night. I came in from my house here to take a look at the coverage all night, and it seemingly did not get any better as we saw the footage of not only the assault against these officers, but how they were targeted. It's my hope this morning that as I go about my job and others do, that we remember that Dallas is a kind and loving city, that we work well with each other, and that the tragedy that happened here must heal. We must heal ourselves in this country, not just in Dallas.
Yeah, we heard similar sentiments overnight from Dallas Mayor Mike Rawlings saying we've got to come together as a community. And as you were talking, Congressman Sessions, I'm very mindful of the editorial in the Dallas Morning News this morning from writer Jacqueline Floyd, saying once again Dallas is in the news for the wrong reason. This is your hometown. This must be heartbreaking.
Well, in fact, perhaps that is entirely true, and Jacqueline is a prolific writer who really tries to nail things. What I would say to you is this morning, as I was preparing to come over here, I was greeted by members who spoke very plainly about how Dallas is a city that can heal itself, and they were sorry for the tragedy that occurred. But what happens is that, and we're learning this around the country, because of the times we live in, people see things that happen other places, perhaps by police departments that are not as professional, perhaps by cities that are not as, what I would say, well-versed in trying to work and heal themselves. And this can happen in any community, but that Dallas must find a way to deal with this. We have great churches, we have great leaders, we have great people who live in Dallas, and I will be back this evening as I fly home every weekend, and I will want to be with people who care about the officers and their families. But this community needs to know we simply must stand behind our police department as they do a very difficult and dangerous job.
And this is really an important time as a leader for this area now, isn't it? Because it's how we react to this as a city. If the article says that it's Dallas is being known for all the wrong reasons, Dallas still has an opportunity to be known for the right reasons in how we react to what happened, right?
Well, I think that that's exactly the point here, that Dallas can find a way to turn itself around. My point is that we're not immune to this anywhere in the country, and certainly Washington, D.C., the House of Representatives, has seen where there are outbursts of people who are frustrated. I believe this frustration comes because, in fact, our country is divided. and we have to acknowledge we're divided, but we have to heal ourselves. What we need is to get back with leadership that can talk about everybody being important. Every single component of our country needs an opportunity to better their life, to be a part of not only a job, but a meaningful part where they can make their families and communities work. Dallas, Texas works. It works well. I don't need to say and project too much because people know Dallas is a caring, loving city. But we must find a way to be leaders also, and that leading will mean that we can solve the problems that we've got. But the time right now is to determine what happened, how we could avoid it, and to come together with the families of this terrible, terrible ambush that took the lives of some of our bravest men and women.
And I think we'll end this, Representative Sessions, with the tweet that you put out just a few moments ago. The Dallas community is strong and vibrant, and we will heal together, but we will not tolerate these acts of violence. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. Have a safe trip home.
We must not tolerate it. Thank you very much. And good morning, Deborah. Thank you very much.
All right, Congressman Sessions there for us, and it is important to point out at times like these, people turn to their leaders, whether it's at their church or whether it's politicians, and of course a lot of people have had issues with their politicians lately. It's a chance for them to step up and really lead this community. All
right, 6:16 is the time right now. We know that much of downtown Dallas and the West End is closed. If for some reason you do have to navigate through around that area to other parts, we want to bring in now Ramisha Shade with an update on what streets are closed and maybe some ways to get around to other parts of Dallas if you have to.
Well, you certainly want to try to avoid the western section of the downtown Dallas area because we've got several closures due to the fact we've got a major crime scene in the downtown Dallas area. So here's a look at those closures. You can see 35E over here. We've got a closure from Ross Avenue to the north, Griffin Street to the east, Jackson Street to the south, and Houston Street to the west. So this section of downtown Dallas entirely closed. So make sure you avoid that area because you're not going to be able to get through. It is definitely going to cause some major traffic issues, I'm sure, as we go through the morning. As far as your mass transit alerts, the DART trains will be running for sections of downtown Dallas. At this point, we still just have reports that the West End station will be closed today. Also, the TRE will operate to Union Station, so that is some good news. We do have some buses that will be operating and some of the DART trains that will be operating. As far as those DART buses that serve the CBD West, well, they're being moved to CBD East, and those buses will board on Pacific between Pearl and Olive. So that's the latest I have for you at this point. As I continue to get updates, I will keep you updated. Mark and Deborah?
All right, we will look for you. Thank you, Ramisha.
All right, your time right now is 6:17. We know that Dallas Mayor Mike Rawlings was going to be holding a news conference with Police Chief David Brown at about 7:30 this morning, but the mayor has already appeared on the Today Show just a few moments ago, revealing some new information. Let's listen to what the mayor told today.
We're joined now by Dallas Mayor Mike Rawlings. Mr. Mayor, good morning to you.
Good morning, Savannah.
And first, we just want to send our condolences to you, to your community, especially the community of law enforcement. Our hearts are with you on a really difficult day.
Well, thank you. It is a painful morning. I was with families last night, officers last night. This is a terrible blow to the city of Dallas. It's a terrible blow to the United States of America. And it calls for us to come together at this time and hopefully love one another deeply.
There are so many questions this morning. As we understand it, the police have 3 suspects in custody, and 1 suspect was killed in a shootout with police. Have you learned any more about who these suspects are, what their motivations or affiliations might be?
Well, we're undergoing an intense investigation, as you can imagine, bringing in everybody, looking at all the backgrounds, and we don't have any information at this time. We're glad that we took down one of the suspects, and we are hopeful that we have got everybody, but we don't know that for sure.
Are the suspects in custody cooperating with police? Are they talking to your investigators?
They're not at this point. They're subjects that we're just interviewing, and we are they're being pretty tight-lipped at this point.
Mr. Mayor, it's Willie Geist. We appreciate you taking some time with us this morning. Have they given any indication in the little information that they have provided you of what their motive may have been in that shooting last night?
Well, it's simple. They wanted to kill police officers, and sadly they did. That teaches us that these police officers stand between us and everyday tragedy. These men that put their lives on the line last night and lost them. We've got to get to the bottom of it, but more importantly, we have to lift up the families right now and lift up every officer in the United States of America. This is what happens day in and day out.
Mr. Mayor, you mentioned at your earlier press briefing that this was a coordinated, triangulated attack was the word you used, with multiple shooters who appeared to have experience with long guns. Have you learned any more about how they planned or carried out this attack?
We've got some reports out there, but they have not been confirmed. At our morning press conference, hopefully we'll confirm those and be able to give you more information, but at this time we don't.
And before we let you go, Mayor, I know it's a busy day. There are 6 wounded officers. There's a wounded civilian. Do you know anything about the severity of their wounds and their conditions this morning?
Yeah, I want to make sure we got the numbers right, because 12 officers were shot. 8 were Dallas police officers, 5 were dead, 5 were transit officers, and 2 civilian, 1 male and 1 female. No one died there. So those are the numbers that I got when I walked in to my office just a moment ago.
Okay, thank you for that updated information. Well, obviously, we'll pass it along. Mayor Rawlings, again, our condolences and our appreciation for your time, sir, this morning.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mayor Mike Rawlings there speaking with the Today Show, and the important information we get there, obviously a lot of it important, but the different information that we get, 12 officers now and not 11, as has been reported, 8 Dallas officers, 5 of them dead. Of course, we know the one Dart officer was killed as well, and 2 civilian officers. We thought there was only 1 civilian who had been shot, but there are 2. This is a live look at Dallas right now. Very different scene than what happened last night when fire opened. 2 snipers opening fire, targeting Dallas police officers at about 9 o'clock last night.
And, you know, all since this happened, Mark, and especially this morning and talking with our law enforcement expert, you know, Don Peretz, we've been bringing up the why. That's the big question, why. When Willie Geist asked Mayor Rawlings the motive, he said, we know they wanted to kill police officers, and sadly they did.
Yep.
They succeeded in that mission, but Dallas, Mayor Mike Rawlings said, we will come together and rise above this.
All right, we should also point out one of the suspects we had reported all night long had mentioned that there were also bombs involved in this incident. We got a report about an hour and a half ago from Dallas police that a primary and secondary sweep of the downtown area was completed and no bombs were found. So that is very important news. We have now gone completely into the investigative stage of this crime, and it appears there is no more imminent danger for anybody in that downtown Dallas area. This is a live look from Chopper 5, but still, Deborah, all of the west side of downtown closed off completely.
Exactly, and will be for quite some time. It is a very massive crime scene. You had at least four suspects. The mayor's saying we think we got all of them, but firing shots, just a barrage of gunfire. There are shell casings and bullets in just any kind of area, and so police, as Don Peretz was telling us, they really have one chance to sweep through this crime scene and gather up any evidence they can, because once they release that crime scene, they can't go back and try to search for new evidence. So they have got to be thorough and go through every nook and cranny and space they can as they gather evidence to piece together what happened last night. Again, 6:24 on this sad Friday morning is how the mayor described it to Savannah and Willie Geist. But the sun does come up, and we want to take a quick minute to talk about the weather with Grant for today.
Okay, Deborah, let's get to it. The forecast today looks like it's going to be another hot, sunny day, 97 for the high here in Dallas-Fort Worth. The heat advisory, though, has been discontinued, so if you're working outdoors, it's still going to be plenty hot, but not officially under a heat advisory. Here's a live look over in Dallas here on this somber Friday morning as we see a few clouds pushing through. These will stick around here for a little while this morning and then mostly sunny. Temperature holding 79. It is a muggy start with the humidity 79% as well. South breeze at 13 miles per hour. Today will be another breezy day, although not quite as windy as it was yesterday. We'll see temperatures climbing into the upper 80s by 11 o'clock. Sunshine and 97 for the high temperature, and you can see those southerly winds around 15-20 miles per hour. If you have evening plans, it's still going to be quite toasty at 7 p.m., still holding in the mid-90s. And into the weekend, the heat's going to hold. We'll see highs today, tomorrow right at 97 with the heat index over 100. Today will be at 104, tomorrow 102, and pretty much the same on Sundays.
You're watching NBC5 Today at 6.
And it is 6:30 on a very sad Friday morning as we continue to follow the breaking news that is going on in Dallas today.
Yeah, we want to give you a live look now of downtown Dallas. This is from Chopper 5 and a much quieter scene than one we saw through the night, really just a couple of hours ago when things quieted down. Of course, last night around 9 o'clock, shots rang out immediately after a peaceful rally. Those shots killing 4 Dallas police officers, 1 Dart police officer. Here's what we know right now. We have just heard from Dallas Mayor Mike Rawlings speaking to the Today Show that 12 police officers were shot in this ambush last night. 5 of those are now dead. We've also just learned that 2 civilians were shot. We knew there was 1, but the mayor telling Today it was a male and female civilian also shot last night. It is believed this was a sniper-style attack on police officers with several suspects perched on top of parking garages in downtown. Now, we've got team coverage of the attack on Dallas police. Our crews have every angle of this covered for you from the scene and from the hospitals. NBC5's Katie Blakey live at Dallas Police headquarters right now. Katie, what's the latest there?
Well, Mark, a lot of revealing information that just came out of Mayor Rawlings speaking to Today's Show. You know, when they asked him, what do you think prompted this attack? And he said, you know, their goal was to kill officers, and sadly, they achieved that. You know, we have been here all night. We've watched people walk up, light candles, leave flowers, people just wanting to show support for Dallas PD. But as we've been saying, this is now a massive murder investigation we are talking about, where members of the Dallas PD have to investigate what happened to their brothers, to 5 officers here who were gunned down in the line of duty, and many more who were injured just doing their job and making sure those protests last night were peaceful. As we've said, those protests last night were peaceful up until just about 9 o'clock when, as everything was winding down, those shots rang out. We also heard from the mayor here a moment ago in the Today Show interview. He talked about the suspects. We know there were 4 potentially suspects involved in this, one of them who died at the El Centro scene there. Also 3 others that were taken into custody. Mayor Rawlings told the Today Show that those suspects are not cooperating with police right now. We imagine that they're here at DPD headquarters being interrogated as to what occurred downtown last night, but like we heard Rawlings say, they are not cooperating with authorities. I wanted to point out, if you could come back here on my phone, some of you may have that I Watch Dallas app you have. The city often pushes that out as something to download. DPD has also been pushing out that people download that app. It's a way that you can normally send tips to police, send pictures to police, video to police. It's going to be very important that Dallas police hear from people who were there downtown last night to send any pictures they may have, any videos of the moments leading up to what happened and also those moments after. So if you have that information, that's going to be very important to their investigation. Again, if you have any information, you should contact Dallas PD. That could aid them in this investigation. But again, Mark and Deborah, just a very somber scene here at a Dallas police headquarters. Back to you.
All right, Katie, thank you. Very good point Katie makes there, too. And even if you don't think you have anything substantive, you may. It might be a timeline that they're trying to put together where you have a moment that they don't have. There may be something, even though it might not look like anything to you, it may be important. So you definitely want to share that with Dallas.
Exactly. The information about what happened there in downtown and any sightings of these individuals prior to that.
Absolutely.
All right. So we want to continue our coverage now with NBC5's Ben Russell. He has been near the El Centro College, that parking garage, through the night. So Ben, update us from where you are.
Well, first I want to make note of what you're talking about there, the idea of giving tips to Dallas police. Imagine there were hundreds of witnesses to this event, more than witnesses, participants, people trying to flee gunfire, all of whom were just over my shoulder in a march in the area around Founders Plaza here, a peaceful march until around 9 o'clock last night when chaos erupted. All of our attention has been trained 1 block downtown from where we are to the east, and El Centro College and its parking garage that sits above it. That is where, for hours, Dallas police had their eyes and their weapons trained on a building where we understand at least one of these suspects was holed up. He had warned them that he had placed explosive devices downtown. That later turned out to be false, although it was certainly a concern, so much so that we saw ATF agents here in gear and the Dallas County Bomb Squad here downtown taking careful note of the vehicles and the position of things here in downtown Dallas. I spoke with a Dallas police detective just before 3 a.m. this morning. He is the one who had confirmed to me that this shooter downtown was dead, and also that they had identified at the time what they believed to be 2 suspicious devices. Those are now no longer of a concern. The work that goes on now is really just a crime scene investigation, and not just a crime scene, a massive crime scene right in the heart of downtown Dallas. Live in Dallas, Ben Russell, NBC5.
All right, Ben Russell, one of our many reporters there covering this story for us. Ben, thank you so much. As police try to gather evidence, one of the pieces of evidence they're looking at is this Dallas police squad car. Take a look at this video, and you see there the bullet holes that are at the sides of this police car. We got this video from our crew who was stationed at Baylor Medical Center overnight. That police car towed away, believed to have been involved in the shooting. Just many rounds of gunfire fired in the streets of Dallas, and that police car was damaged in the gunfire, now part of the evidence.
Yeah, and there's been a large police presence at Baylor Hospital all night long.
NBC5's Courtney Gilmore is our reporter who's been keeping tabs on Baylor. And Courtney, the scene there, just as we saw with Ben, has quieted down somewhat since it was several hours ago with that large police presence.
Mentioned that police car that was being towed away with that bullet hole there. That was just one of 3. But take a look right behind me. The scene hasn't changed in the past hour right now. You still actually can see a little bit of that crime scene tape that officers balled up and placed in the trash can. You know, the scene was blocked off for hours after that shooting. We do have some earlier video to show you as well. You know, 24 hours ago, I was standing next to Wheeler Gardens downtown talking about that protest, and now here.
All right, we are going to just interrupt Courtney. There a little bit of microphone trouble, but again, she witnessed a very somber scene. She was describing an honor line as the bodies of 2 of those who died last night were removed from the hospital and put into vans and transported to the medical examiner's office for autopsies.
Yeah, one of the very difficult pictures we watched throughout the night. All right, several officers also taken overnight to Parkland Hospital, and NBC5's Scott Gordon is there live for us this morning as well. Scott, what is the latest from where you are?
Well, at the moment, Mark, it's remarkably quiet here. There's only 1 Dallas police car in the parking lot here outside the emergency room. That's in stark contrast to what we saw in the early morning hours. Let me talk about what we saw about 3 o'clock this morning. It was very similar to what Courtney was describing, the honor line. We saw a line of police officers outside the door to the emergency room. They saluted time again, at least 3 times that we saw, as the bodies of the fallen officers were brought out of the hospital and loaded onto some vans from the medical examiner's office. Those vans were then escorted by motorcycle officers to UT Southwestern Medical Center across the street from Parkland. That is where the medical examiner offices are. Now, in the hours before that, we saw at least 2 police cars, including one from Arlington, screech up here with sirens blaring, carrying apparent family members of some of the officers who were taken here. I've got to tell you that Parkland officials and the police department have not revealed exactly how many of the officers who were shot last night were taken here to Parkland. We don't know the numbers at all, so at this point it's very unclear to us how many injured officers may remain here at Parkland. Parkland and are still being treated right now. But in any case, we know that a number of them were taken here last night in the hours and minutes after the shooting, and that several were taken to nearby Baylor University Medical Center, those being the nearest two trauma centers to where the shootings happened. So that's the situation here at Parkland, a very sad and somber night here at Parkland. Back to you guys.
Yeah, very long night as well. Scott, I know you've been there all night. We appreciate you covering that for us. Thank you. Okay, NBC5's Chris Van Horn also has been downtown all night long.
Yeah, Chris has moved from a couple of different positions, and I believe now he is located at a DART station impacted by what is going on in downtown. Chris, tell us more.
That's right. I am at the DART bus station at San Jacinto and Lamar. I've turned the camera away from that, though, because the lights that you see back there, I want to point out, those are Texas State Troopers. There are at least 4 of them here at this corner. This is the northeast corner of that, basically the 4 streets that are closed off on the inside, because that is the crime scene here. So when I got to this parking lot around 2 a.m. or so, there was about 20 Dallas police officers in this parking lot, the adjacent 7-Eleven, which had some crime scene tape up as well. No Dallas police officers are here now. Obviously, many of them staying past their shift and probably likely very exhausted from a very long day. So other resources are showing up from other departments here in obviously North Texas. As for the investigation, about an hour ago, we were told by Major Max Guerin of Dallas Police that the crime scene detectives will now be able to start processing the massive crime scene. We really started seeing this a couple of hours ago after we got that report from Ben Russell that one suspect was confirmed dead, that we started seeing crime scene folks taking pictures of the street here at Lamar, just south of Maine, taking a look at what we presume to be evidence markers on the ground. They were looking under vehicles as well. And so the police presence here really has died down. When we first got here, it was a very significant police presence. Things kind of seem like they're getting sort of back to normal, other than the DART station here is shut down. The West Transfer Station is where I'm at. Buses are going to be at the East Transfer Station there. Trains still going through, but it is also pretty quiet. And the fact that this parking lot is pretty empty, except for some vehicles that were stranded here overnight. So a very quiet start to the morning here. But obviously the police presence is still pretty significant as they continue to kind of go over this crime scene very methodically. No rushing being done here. They're, of course, going to be taking their time both outside and inside the El Centro College building, which is about a block away from here. We'll send it back to you, Mark.
Okay,
Deborah.
Chris, thanks so much for getting us updated from your location. Appreciate that.
All right, we do know 4 DART officers were shot. One of them died.
And DART's police chief just gave an interview to the Today Show, sharing more information about the officers, especially the 43-year-old officer who died. Here's what Chief James Spiller said.
The victims include members, as we mentioned, of both the police department in Dallas and the Dallas Area Rapid Transit Authority. Gary Thomas is DART's president and executive director. He's with us now, along with DART chief James Spiller. Good morning to you both. I want to extend my condolences, first and foremost, from all of us and from the country about the loss of Officer Thompson in that shooting last night.
Thank you.
Chief, let me ask you about the condition. We're learning now that there were several DART officers who were wounded last night in the shooting, in addition to the death of Officer Thompson. Do you have an update for us on the condition of those wounded officers?
Yes, we have one officer was preparing to go into surgery, another one was being evaluated for surgery, and one was released to go home.
And are they all expected to survive, Chief?
Yes, those 3 are expected to survive. There was nothing life-threatening at that time, but they are going to have to undergo surgery.
And Mr. Thomas, what was the role of the DART officers at that event last night? A protest, obviously, of the officer-involved shootings in 2 other places. What was the role of your officers there last night?
Right. We actually run the transit system, and we have train lines that go through downtown, and there's a station, a rail station, that was very close to where the protest was going on, the event was going on. And so our officers were there to make sure that our patrons, that our customers that were riding the trains and buses were able to get on and off the trains, on and off the buses in a safe and efficient manner. and that they weren't that travel on the trains and buses wasn't impacted by the event that was happening nearby.
Chief Spiller, was there any indication to either you or to Dallas police that there was anything suspicious anticipated at this event? Was there reason to believe that there would be heightened concern?
We did not have any reason to believe that we were going to have something to occur of this nature. You know, but I must say, even though we didn't have any information, that the training of our officers as well as the Dallas police officers was very appropriate for the circumstances and the event that occurred. The officers wanted to immediately make sure that the protesters were safe and then get into those officers that were wounded and then trying to engage those suspects. Subsequently, I think that reduced the number of injuries because of the quick response and quick actions of not only our officers but the Dallas Police Department officers. We saw less injuries to protesters as well as to officers because of their quick thinking and quick response.
We know you have a busy morning, so we'll let you get back to work, but I do want to ask you in closing, Chief, and Mr. Thomas as well. Tell me a little bit about Officer Thompson, Brent Thompson, the man.
Well, Brett was he was a great officer. He served as a patrol officer, which is what he was doing tonight. He was also he also performed as a rail officer. And I'd like to point out, Brett was recently married in the last 2 weeks. So this is very heartbreaking for us. But not only for that reason, but because we lost a member in blue. And we have received sympathies and calls and emails all across the country from police departments as well as citizens throughout the U.S. and Canada and England, as well as here in the North Texas region. But Brett was a great officer, and we will definitely miss him. But we're also making sure that his family is taken care of. And that's where our attention is focused now toward the injured officers, Brett's family, and with the Dallas Police Department, making sure we're there for them with the investigation and the care and well-being of their officers also.
Married just within the last 2 weeks, Officer Brent Thompson. Chief Spiller, Mr. Thomas, thank you for taking a break this morning. We're glad to hear those other officers wounded in the attack will, in fact, survive. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
As if something else couldn't take your breath away.
Right?
We hear then that the officer, the DART officer, 43-year-old Brent Thompson, who died last night, had just been married 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, just so heartbreaking. No one life is worth more than any other, but there's no doubt that that kind of adds to the grief for everybody, I think, when you hear those words. I think the other important thing we heard there, all three of the other DART officers are expected to be okay.
Yeah.
One going into surgery, one evaluated, and the other released.
Already released from the hospital, yes. All right, time right now is 6:46, and we will continue our coverage of the attack on Dallas police.
This is a live look downtown, a lot quieter than it was throughout much of the night. The investigation continues, and we continue here on NBC5.
And welcome back at 10 till 7 on this very difficult Friday morning in Dallas as we take a live look from Chopper 5 of the continuing crime scene going on in downtown as police investigate the violence that unfolded on the streets of downtown about 9 o'clock last night. This is a live look there at El Centro College. It is the parking garage at El Centro College, which was the focus of most of the investigation through the night. That parking garage is where the first shots were fired on the crowd gathered below at around 9 o'clock, specifically shots fired at police officers. And this morning, Dallas wakes up to the deadliest day in U.S. law enforcement history since the September 11th terror attacks, with 5 officers dead. 4 of them Dallas police officers, 1 of them a DART officer.
All right, overnight, Dallas Police Chief and Mayor Mike Rawlings both spoke about the deadly shootings.
Let's take a listen to what the chief had to say earlier this morning.
We're continuing to ask for the public's prayers and support and encouragement. But I could just tell you, I've never been more proud of a police officer and being a part of this great, noble profession. Seeing the courage, the professionalism, and just the grit to stay on scene in an area looking for suspects, knowing that we are vulnerable. We don't know where they are.
All right, we want to show you some of the video.
From an elevated area, and this panic and this very tense scene went on for several hours as police tried to get a handle on what was happening. But this morning, three suspects in custody, one suspect dead, that fourth suspect.
We were also at Parkland Hospital when ambulances started pulling in there. We want to show you some of those pictures now. You can see numerous patrol cars also pulling in after the ambulances arrived at the hospital.
And then this is a look at downtown Dallas. Just a massive police presence on many streets were quickly blocked off as police had tried to get a handle on what was going on. And still this morning, there's a major section of downtown Dallas still blocked off as the investigation continues.
And another angle here from one of the garages as some of the chaos started to unfold, and you can see a calmer scene here, but you do see agents there in that tactical gear and those large assault-style rifles. Obviously a very serious situation.
And with downtown Dallas, a crime scene this morning, many streets are blocked off. We want to get over to Ramisha now to let you know what is closed in that area this morning still.
It's still a pretty large area that will be closed until further notice due to the major crime scene that we have across western sections of downtown Dallas. So basically everything inside the arrows that you see closed in the downtown Dallas area, and that's from Ross Avenue to the north, Houston Street to the west, Jackson Street to the south, and Griffin Street to the east. So everything in this area definitely closed until further notice, so the police can continue to do their investigation into this major crime. As far as DART and TRE, we do have some delays and closures here as well. For DART, there will be trains running through sections of downtown Dallas today, but the West End station remains closed today, so certainly keep that in mind. Also, as far as the TRE is concerned, it will operate to Union Station, so that is some good news. Not a complete closure there. As far as DART buses that serve CBD West, well, they were moved to CBD East. Those buses will board on Pacific between Pearl and Olive. Of course, as I get more information, I will keep you posted throughout the morning. Let's head over and get a check of that morning forecast with Grant.
All right, thanks, Ramisha. The weekend upon us. It's going to be another hot one today, and the heat will stretch into the weekend. Today's high 97 with mostly sunny skies. This morning we are starting off